Yeah, I can see you.
It's my video is on, right?
Yeah, I can see you.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. So, can you briefly introduce about yourself?
Sure. So, hi, my total years of experience right now is 7.10 years, and all
Hello?
those. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, so as I was telling, my total years of experience right now is 7.10 years. And all those years I have worked on Java and related technologies, and means the versions of Java I have worked on are starting from like Java 1.5 to 1.7, 8, and currently I'm working on Java 11. The current client means currently I'm working with IBM for a bank, that's UBP. It's a Geneva-based investment bank, and for that we are writing the microservices with Spring Boot. For those microservices are basically being used by multiple web application. Some are for the use of other microservices which are from other department as SAP and Captiva. So such kind of services we are writing, and there are also some web application which we are supporting and enhancing with Angular, and some of these standalone jobs which we have just upgraded to Natural Engine. Yeah. So before this, I was working in the Impact Systems actually as a team lead in the product development department.
So, before that, you worked in where?
Impact Systems Private Limited was the
Impact
company.
system, okay.
Yeah. There I have worked for around 6 years in the product development department. I was working as a team lead at the time I left the company. So there I have developed around 4 web applications that were the product of the company.
Okay, fine. Yeah, it's almost fine. Uh, what are your roles and responsibilities in your current project?
So it's
Like,
a
if I think from a perspective like day-to-day work and responsibilities.
yeah, sure. So it's the role is kind of an individual contributor role, and my day-to-day activities mostly my let's say my 80% of time goes into the coding and enhancing, and 20% of the time goes into the Scrum calls and meetings, and means different calls we have, one for the offshore counterparts, one for the onshore counterparts, the Scrum meetings. So basically,
Okay.
yeah.
So here you are playing a role of team lead,
No.
semi-team lead. I can see. I can say.
Yeah.
So as a team lead or a senior team member, what kind of other team management activity are you involved apart from the coding?
Okay. So I'm not saying the current organization, but in my earlier organization where I
Maybe you
was
can
team lead.
speak from the prior experiences also.
Yeah, right. So as a team lead, what I was
You
involved.
can speak from hello.
Yeah, sure.
You can speak from prior experiences also.
Sure, right. So as I was telling, means as a team lead, I was involved in different phases of the project, like from taking the requirements from the user, the user calls to get the requirements, to have the to in the designing parts, in much of the aspects, designing perspectives, then deciding the modules actually to use. So basically kind of designing I was involved, and architecting the project. After that, the code reviewing was my task as a team lead, and to distribute the projects and the modules within the team members. So those are kind of a task I have done.
Okay, fine. Regarding the design phase, so we generally require a lot of documentation part, right? So,
Yes.
are you using any special tool for doing this documentation and writing several, like preparing several diagrams, kind of stuffs?
So basically, documentation I won't be the part of, but yeah, means for the diagrams, I have done the diagrams part, like the flow diagrams. I have done that with the eDraw. We used eDraw actually for the flow diagrams.
So, are you do you use are you using Confluence pages for doing the documentations and diagrams?
No, not
Wiki
actually. Miss.
Confluence.
Yeah, I miss the people were the managers actually. The BAs were doing that. So I
Okay.
was a part of the UML diagrams where I was involved. So in that I used eDraw.
Okay, so just you prepare in maybe MS Word document and upload this in
Yes, on
those in
SharePoint.
Confluent pages.
SharePoints. Yeah.
Confluent pages or SharePoint. Yeah,
Yeah.
fine. Yeah. So because what I am asking, like mainly the high level and low level design diagrams are basically typical task of leads or architects.
Yes. Yes. So I was
Okay.
not an architect actually at that level, but I was kind of
Not
assisting
I'm
the
saying architect,
architects.
but if any team lead also have to
Yes.
responsible to doing these activities.
Yeah. Yeah. I have
Okay,
done
fine.
that activities. I know.
So you are also saying that you are doing code reviews, right?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So while doing the code reviews, what kind of points do you have keep in mind, or what kind of checklist do you generally follow?
Yeah, so basically, first of all, we had the checklist means for ourselves. Like the solid principles are the first thing which we used to check.
Can
Can
you please
we?
explain solid principle in brief?
Sorry, the solid principles. Okay, okay. Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
So basically, the solid principles are like five different concepts. Like every letter stands for an operation or an functionality. We can say though S stands for single object responsibility, O stands for open close principle, S stands for less code substitution, uh, SOL, I stands for interface segregation, D stands for dependency injections. So should I explain those one by one?
No, no, it's fine. Now we can continue from other checkpoints we
Yeah. So
which we
like yeah.
need to follow in code review.
Right. So first of all, these solid principles need to be followed in all the codes we are doing. After that, first the code length is the first of all means just by viewing. Like if we are not going into the code I'm not looking into the code, I'm not looking into the functions anything, but just by viewing we can say that this code is too lengthy. This function is too lengthy. So
Like function, like method or class.
function.
Function spending, yeah.
Yeah, so if a function is going through beyond one page, so we were just doing that means just by viewing if a function is going beyond one page of Eclipse, we are not doing something right there. So we need to split, we need to have the modular code, and after that
Yes.
we came to the naming. So
Naming
for
of the variables and methods.
yeah, variables, methods, the classes, and always the code comments for each and every function, for each and every classes, the code comments should be there what this particular function is doing. So yeah, so that's another thing. And again the communication between the objects, actually the functions or methods which we are doing. So it should also be again minimal wherever required only. If one function is getting called from is there should not be a hierarchy like a from A to B, from B to C, from C to D, like that. So there should be not such hierarchy. So in such hierarchy, what happens is if some exception occurs in one at one level, it causes much issues. So in that case, there should be some central mechanism to do that. So such things I basically personally I used to check.
Yeah, very good points what you mentioned. So most of the points that you mentioned, like these are all part of the clean code principle. So have you read this thing?
Sorry, have
Clean
I?
code principle. Most of the points that you mentioned that are part of clean code principle.
I haven't read as such means the documents.
Yeah, but you have maybe you have not read that particular textbook, but
Yeah.
you are following those
Yeah,
principles.
actually my
Apart
manager
from
which
this,
I have,
like from the sorry, tell me.
yeah, sorry, which I had my manager in my first organization which who were
No,
architect
not
in,
manager. I'm asking.
no,
Mostly,
he
mostly
taught me
every
actually.
developer or senior developer has to know these things.
Yeah, right.
And apart from this clean code, like doing the code review, like what I'm asking, like while doing the code review, do you observe any points from the security or performance perspective?
Yes, definitely. Means from
So,
the
what kind of security or performance checkpoints do you check?
So basically, the applications mainly I working upon were interacting with the documents. So there were many streams and collections. So basically, if I talk about if there are any collection or streams, they should be those streams should be closed. If we are having in our legacy application, we are using the plain SQL queries. There were no Spring or Spring Boot or Hibernate. So there were plain SQL queries. So the prepare statement we used to use to avoid any SQL injections. So such kind of securities and clean up things should be in place.
Okay. Do you have any UI pages in your application?
Yes. It was web application.
So do you follow any kind of cross-browser compatibility or double page submit kind of stuff?
Cross-browser compatibility, basically we were using a JavaScript framework called EXTJS. I also worked on Angular. And I also worked on upon EXTJS in my organization.
So this framework will take care of these things.
Yes, right.
So like that will be managed by some other team, or you are like you people are doing the UI level work?
We were doing only. I mean, as a full stack we have worked upon. I also worked upon Angular application and EXTJS also.
Okay.
I have good experience.
So in that case, you have to make sure in the UI side also, like.
Yeah.
Cross-browser compatibility.
Yes.
But I am not very familiar with EXTJS, so I cannot ask so much questions.
Okay. Angular also I have pretty much good experience.
I worked in Angular. I worked in something like that. Yeah. So okay, fine. And regarding like apart from the coding, and I believe you are writing the unit test cases, right?
Yes.
Unit and integration test cases, right?
Yes. For all the classes.
Yeah, but for the coding and unit testing, like, are you involved any kind of CI/CD pipeline activities?
Not directly involved, but our project is in a CI/CD pipeline. So basically, we have on the coding level. Sorry. Please go ahead.
How it will work? Do you have any brief idea?
Yeah, I have that idea. Basically what happens is we in our code, so let's say we have one web service, and in that web service what we have is we have our Docker files. So in the Docker file we specify all the dependencies which are needed, what the jar file should named as, and how should it get called. So that's in the Docker file. So once we commit it into Git, so we have Jenkins in place. So that Jenkins basically builds the image of our microservices, any service, and that Jenkins just deploys it to the servers, basically.
Respective environment servers.
Yeah. I haven't created the Jenkins scripts. I know I have seen, but mainly I haven't done it myself. I have
Jenkins file in Groovy.
Yes.
So you have not created, but. You know the syntax is how it is written.
Yes. I have seen that.
By reading the script, you can understand what is going on.
Yes. I can. And I have good exposure and experience on Docker. So till Docker in the CI/CD pipeline, Git and Docker I know well. Git I have seen, but don't have like 100% development experience. Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, you were cut in between. Yeah. So you are talking about Docker, right?
Yeah. So Docker.
So Docker is also a framework that is without deploying in any server, you can test the Docker image in your own machine, right?
Yes.
Okay. So like since Docker creates a virtual environment, as you know,
yes.
It will fetch all the dependencies like JDKs,
right,
and
server.
If it is a
Tomcat.
Sorry. Tomcat, yeah. And all these stuffs.
Yes.
Maven also for building.
Yes.
Like, so how you can you just briefly tell me the keywords of Docker? How you specify that it will. Suppose I need Java 8 dependencies or Maven dependency. So how I can specify in Docker file?
Okay, so in the .docker file we have this requires, and on the Docker Hub, we have those Java and all the dependencies which are required in our project. So from that Docker Hub, we need to import it, the any dependencies we need in the
Yes,
Docker
using
file.
using the from keyword, right?
Yeah.
Yes, and you can install, right? Install kind of stuff like using run and install the
So
dependency in
with
the
the
actual way.
and it's quite
So
simple with the Docker Hub desktop. With the Docker desktop.
Docker desktop, that I was going to ask, because in Docker desktop basically it will create a image inside your own machine.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And what else? And regarding the processes, I think you are following the agile process, right?
Yes, agile methodology.
So how is your process is going on using the sprint cycles, and how much your meeting, what about your meetings, and how the stories are assigned, what are the epics are created, how the planning is scheduled, there is some activity, some backlog groomings, right? So are you involved in these steps, right? So can you please give me a briefs on these things?
So basically we have a daily Scrum calls for all the enhancements, all the requests or all the ongoing work. So we have daily Scrum calls, and in those Scrum calls we discuss basically whatever any new changes or any new enhancements requests or any new development requests basically. So we discuss those, and in those Scrum calls then we create the Jira stories. So for any issues or enhancements we create Jira stories and we assign it in our team ourselves. Basically the sprint cycle we have is 2 weeks. So but this 2 week cycle is different for the development and production. So the production basically runs in n-1 sprint. So if we are now in 15th sprint, so production runs into the 14th sprint. Basically it's offshore and onshore counterparts. Actually it's offshore and onshore counterparts, so we need to provide it to onshore, and they test it on other servers, so that's why it's n-1 n-1 sprints. So that's
and
how.
What about other ceremonies? Like is there any retrospective pre-planning calls? So how it will?
So basically for the backlogs, for the backlogs we have the weekly meetings. So if any enhancement requests for any change requests are left from the sprint one sprint behind, we have weekly calls for that, for the backlogs. And for the pre-plannings also, for the pre-planning we don't have weekly calls actually, that are as per the requirements.
As per the requirements.
If
so
any
that
new
generally happens just before the sprint starts, right? 1 day or 2 days before the sprint starts.
But what happens is here we mostly have the enhancements and changes requests. If any new development is coming up, so before the sprint we usually have that.
But whatever it is enhancement or say new development, all these are tracked using the new Jira stories, right?
Yes.
So that have to be groomed, like from the backlog. From the Jira board.
Right.
You are using Jira, right?
Jira we are using.
Okay, and so you are familiar with the dashboard, Jira dashboard and Kanban board.
Daily we are using that.
So, and are you familiar with burn down chart?
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Burn down chart?
No, not actually. Sorry.
You are not familiar because maybe you are not the Scrum Master or you are not followed the Scrum Master activities. Okay, fine. That's from Jira perspective.
Okay.
So we can start our technical discussion.
Sure.
So I believe the latest Java version that you mentioned, you used Java 11, right?
Yes, we upgraded actually some applications.
Okay, fine. What are the new features in Java 9 onwards are you using?
Java 9 onwards new features. So basically I haven't looked that much into Java 11, but with Java 11 we got the var keyword in it. So that's after Java
var
9.
keyword, yeah.
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 Mainly,
What is the var keyword and how it is used in Java?
so basically, var keyword as we had it in earlier in the JavaScript also. So basically, it based on the values, it interprets the type. So if you say var x equal
Yes.
to 10, it interprets the value. I have mainly worked on Java 8, not
Okay,
that much.
fine. So, like from the Java 10 or Java 11, you are using only the var keywords, and rest of the code constructs you are using Java 8.
Yeah, or all the code constructs are with Java 8. There was some need to upgrade the product to Java 11, so that's why we have just upgraded
Yeah, you are
few
just
projects.
updated the JDK versions, but you are not fully utilizing all these new
Yes,
features.
right.
Yeah, that is obvious. That is because as the product grows, then the new features will be added
Yeah,
gradually. It will not happen in one day or one week.
yes.
Yeah. What are the new features are introduced in Java 8?
Yeah, so with Java, there are many features like if we talk about starting from lambdas, we have lambda functions, we have streams. In interfaces, we have default method, we have static methods. Then we have this optional container. We get new date APIs in there. Also with Java 8, we get a Nashorn engine. That's a JavaScript engine that
What
we
engine?
Nashorn engine.
National engine.
Nashorn Nashorn engine. That's basically a
Okay.
JavaScript engine. So that we have used in our current project also.
Okay, I understand. Yeah, it's inbuilt JavaScript engine.
Yeah, so we have
Is it
used
in
it.
Java 8 or Java 9? I forgot.
Nashorn engine is in Java, is introduced in Java 8.
Java 8 it says. Okay.
Yeah. So basically, what it does is if you want to write any standalone codes, in that case, what we can do is we can write our Java code, and we can call that Java code from JavaScript files. But that JavaScript, basically, we don't need any browser or anything to run. It can run on the JavaScript engine
Compiler
itself.
itself.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I see this. Are you using this thing in project?
Yes. Currently, we have standalone jobs which are doing that for
So
reporting.
what are these use cases? Like why it is required?
So basically, for some of the standalone activities, like if there are some reports need to be fetched, some users needs to be updated. So updating, I mean, if there are some manual things which are needs to be done on an interval, in that case we have
Let's say
written
cron
those.
job.
Yeah, so we have written those scripts, and those scripts then we have just configured it with the Windows schedulers, and those schedulers calls those
Okay,
jobs.
these scripts are shell scripts basically. So which are scheduled as a cron job.
Yes, right.
So to test this manually whether this is running perfect or not, sometimes you need this inbuilt JavaScript engine.
Yes.
Yeah, I understand. And yeah, so you are telling all of the new features that are introduced in Java 8. So you are mentioning functional interface, right?
Functional interfaces. Yeah, right.
So what is basically meant by functional interface?
So the main rule of functional interface is that it can have only one abstract method in it. So
Okay.
that's basically the
Can
main
it have
feature.
more than one default and static methods?
Yeah, any n numbers of default and static methods we can have in it, but only one abstract method.
Okay, fine. So basically you can say, and you are also familiar with lambda expressions, right?
Yes, I have.
So basically we can say lambda expression are the actual implementation of the function interfaces. So we
Yes,
can create anonymous
anonymous
we can
classes
create instances
of
of
functional
the function
interfaces.
we can
Yes,
create instances of the function interfaces using some anonymous functions like anonymous lambda functions which are basically implementing the function interface.
yes,
That
right,
we can say, right?
right.
Okay. So on top of that note, I am giving one small example. You can open your cat window.
Yeah, I'll share my screen.
You
It's
can share your screen also, and you can open a notepad.
yeah, it says that the video stopped because I started sharing.
That is not an issue. That is not an issue. You can
Can
share your screen. Yeah,
can
I
you
can
see
see
my
your
screen?
screen.
Yeah. So
Yeah, can you open a notepad?
Yeah, open.
Yeah. And can you see the code snippet that I shared?
Just a minute, I'll check. Okay, where is it?
In the chat window of Teams. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Some more. Okay, this is
So
the.
this is this is the one. Yeah. So this is an example of function interface. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So can you write down the equivalent lambda expression?
Sorry.
So can you write down the equivalent lambda expression?
Okay, to call this method 1.
No, just you have to create an instance of interface 1.
So what our end goal should be is to call this method 1, right?
Yes, you have to implement the method 1 anonymously using the lambda expression.
Okay, yeah, I have done it. So basically, in like say we have one class, and in that class, so interface I1 is equal to what we have, interface IT equal to, and in here we can give any of our implementation, like
any implementation.
yeah, sysout, and let's say is
not sysout. Yeah, sysout is obvious. Sysout you can put anywhere.
Sorry, we have 2 strings in for the method.
Yes, that
right,
I am going to say, because
S1
method 1
S2.
takes 2 arguments.
Yeah, S1 S2, and in this is out again, means we can print those S1 plus S2. Means anything we can do, any logic.
Yeah, anything you can do. And can you concatenate? Concatenation is done, and just doing the uppercase. Yeah, I got the point.
Yeah, and in here directly, IT dot method 1 we can call, and any parameters to pass we can do that here. So it will do.
What should be the output? What will be the output?
ST in capital.
So, ST in capital, yeah. Yeah, I understand. You are familiar with stream, right?
Stream functions? Yeah.
Stream functions?
Yes.
First tell me, what are intermediate and what are terminal operations in stream?
Yeah, so basically intermediate operations are like we have distinct, we have filter, map. Those are the intermediate operations, intermediate stream operations we have. And the terminal operations are like we have collect, we have for each, reduce, are the terminal operations.
What are intermediate operations?
Filter, we have filter, map.
Yeah. So basically, if I just suppose on a collection, I created a stream and I just call the filter method. I will do nothing else.
Okay.
Like, does the actual code get executed?
No. Still, you are not doing any. The streams are basically the lazy loaded, we call it.
Lazy loaded, yeah.
If you are not doing,
like fire any terminal operation, nothing will be executed. Right?
Yes, right.
Okay, fine. So I am giving one example that I will tell by verbal. I am telling verbally.
Okay, sure.
Okay. Okay, let me write it down in the chat box.
Okay, sure.
Can you open the chat box?
Yeah, I can see it.
I refresh. I have, yeah. So my next example is, suppose I have an array list of integer.
Okay.
So that array list contains 3, 6, 5, 7.
Okay.
Now I want a separate array list. Like I want to produce a separate array list, like output array list, you can say, which will contain the squares of all the odd numbers. So my final outcome would be 9, 25, 49.
Got it.
So
Got it.
6 will be omitted because 6 is an even number.
Yeah, got it.
So can you write down the...
Okay. You can still see my screen, right?
Yes.
So let's say we have those values in a stream.
Just write down the stream statement.
Yeah. So let's say we have this in stream, right? So list.
Yeah. Don't require.
Yeah.
Don't
Right.
need to populate the list. Yeah.
Okay. So the list dot stream dot filter n is n mod 2 equal to 0. Then we will map to int, let's say, and then we have n is to n into n, and we need to print it, right?
You need to not print.
Not print.
You need to produce a separate array list.
Array list. Okay. So we can what we can do is collect.
Yeah.
And this indeed we have what we can do it collectors dot to list.
Yeah, fine. That is fine. Inside the collectors class, there are some group by functions.
Yes.
So are you familiar with those?
Yes. I'm very
So what
much.
are these group by functions are doing?
So basically, let's say we have one class. Let's say we have
Can you give me a live example?
Yeah. So let's in our case, I'll tell you. So we have employees and we have departments in it. So in the bank. So basically, if we need to get, let's say, what I'll tell you just by one example. Like we need to take a salary of we have to let's say. What example I can tell you? Like we have to get some count of employees in a department. Department wise count of employees we need to get.
Department wise count of employees. That is a good example of applying the averaging function.
Yeah. So in that case,
can you write down the equivalent statement?
Yeah. I'm pretty much aware about it.
So what the example that you told?
So let's say we have one class. So we have one employee class, and in that employee class we have department. Sorry. Okay. So we have like department there. We have numbers like.
Suppose there is an employee class.
Yeah.
There is an employee class. There is an employee ID, department name, and salary.
Okay.
That is sufficient, I think.
So if we okay. So let's say the list. In that case, list dot stream dot what we can do, list dot stream dot collect, and in collects we use collectors dot grouping by. So for collectors we have this grouping by function, and in that grouping by the first parameter is basically, let's say we have the department, employee we have. And so the first will be the method reference we will use here, and let's say we have a getter for department. So get department.
Get department, yeah.
Get department, and the second parameter will be again one collector basically. Okay. So what? Sorry, I just got confused between what exactly we need to get. By department we need to get count of employees.
Yeah, we need to count of employees. So here we can apply the second parameter, we can apply the count functions. That reduce function, you can say.
Yeah. So collectors dot reduce. Reducing actually we have, and then from the let's say from the employee class from the employee class we can get the count. Get count we can do. Okay, yeah, this will do. Collector dot distribution.
Okay. Do you know what is consumer and supplier class?
Basically, those are functional interfaces which are provided by which are there in Java 8 actually. So supplier
Hello?
class is basic. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, so basically the consumer is a functional interface which basically takes an input and it doesn't provide us any output. So basically, like for each we
Yeah.
have, and in supplier,
It's kind of void method, like
right,
only
right,
method that return time is void.
right, and in supplier basically it takes takes input and provides one output. Supplier.
Yeah, and does not take anything. That is reverse.
Yes, sorry, yep,
Reverse of consumer.
yes.
Yeah. And there are several suppliers in several varieties of supplier in Java 8. Yeah, like do you know the names?
So,
In supplier.
sorry, I'm not sure about this one.
Okay, fine. That is also fine. Do you know what is flat map? What the flat map method does?
Yeah. So flat map basically we have two things, map and flat map. So what map does is just streams a list into a collection. So with flat map, what it does is basically two things. First is the flattening. So if we have an internal list, so we have one list and value to that list again we have one list. So what flat map does it just gives us output in a single map or a single list rather than internal list. So it does the flattening of the internal lists, we can say.
Okay, fine. Like list or streams of streams.
Yeah,
Flattening.
yeah, right.
Okay, fine. That is also fine. Yeah, so we can move to some other areas. So you worked on Spring Boot, right?
Yes, I have worked on Spring Boot.
Can you tell me what is starter dependency Spring Boot?
Like we have Spring Web, Spring Starter Web, we have Spring Security, Spring Data
Yes.
JPA.
So what are these things? Like
Okay,
how
so
these will get work?
okay, so basically, let's say while initializing or while creating a Spring Boot project, we basically like let's say we have added Spring Boot Starter Web. So that thing we added basically in the pom.xml file. So when Spring Boot starts, what it does is check for the class path first. So if there are any dependency needed, it downloads for us. So let's say on the pom.xml it says that we are trying to add Spring Boot Starter Web. So it loads all the dependencies for the Spring Boot Starter Web by the and it
All the
takes,
dependent jars.
yeah, all the dependent jars. Like in Spring Boot Starter Web, we with Spring Boot Starter Web we get the
Okay.
servers.
Is there any? Yeah, that is absolutely correct. Is there any relation between automatic version management?
Automatic version. Okay, so actually we have this bomb concept there, the build of material. So what we do is in the parent pom.xml file we have the exact Spring version, and although for any different dependency we don't, if say we don't define any version for it, so it will take the parent version only for all such dependencies. Sorry.
Okay, fine. That will take take only the parent versions.
Yes.
So you do not need to specify versions in each
In each of the
dependency
dependencies.
tag.
Yes, right.
Yes, absolutely. How do we handle global exceptions in Spring Boot?
Yeah, so for global exceptions we use the controller advices. So basically we have means to create the global advices, what we do is we create a class with @race controller advice, and in that REST controller
Hello.
address is hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, your voice is breaking somewhere in between. So can you please repeating from the start?
Yeah. Okay. We'll do.
Like
So
global exceptions.
should I stop sharing so that it will be much clear?
Yes, you can stop sharing. So it will
So the
get some
bandwidth.
more bandwidth.
Yeah. So as
Tell me.
as I was saying, sorry, what was the question? I just
Exception handling, global
yeah,
exception handling,
global
controller
exception handling.
advice.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so basically the REST controller advices we use. So we create a class basically with @REST controller advices, and in that class, what we have is we have different methods for handling different exceptions. So for the method we have @exception annotation, and in that we provide which exception basically this method is going to handle. And in that method we can specify our custom logic to pass any, let's say we need to pass some custom messages or what error code needs to be passed, so we can do that in the method itself. Hello.
Yeah, hello.
Yeah, can you hear me?
The annotation. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
I think the annotation is @exception handler, not the @exception.
Yeah, right. Exception handler. Sorry.
Yeah, that is fine because it is hard to remember all these annotations. Have you worked on Swagger?
Swagger, yeah. So Swagger.
What is Swagger and yeah?
Yeah, Swagger is basically an API view. So let's say we have created some web services, some microservices, and we need to test it. We need to provide it to. We need to check what all APIs are being deployed. So with Swagger, we can actually also test the services. So Swagger is a UI tool basically. To enable that, what we need to do is we need to add the Swagger dependency in the pom.xml, and we need to we need to add the annotation basically the enable Swagger 2 in the main Spring Boot class.
Yes. So to can you create any own Swagger component? Like, have you done that?
Own Swagger component.
Beans.
Swagger beans, not actually. Miss for
using
custom.
@ being docket.
Not actually. Though. I don't remember.
Yeah, fine. But if you enable @ Swagger, it will at least you can see in the
Your voice is breaking in between. If you are talking right now, I can't hear you.
Can you share off your camera? Otherwise, I think that will help a bit.
Okay. In between, your voice is breaking. Can you hear me right now? Good. Well.
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can also.
Yeah, what I am telling, like using the Swagger, I think.
Yeah.
So what you are saying that you can, if you only enable the Swagger, you can only view the API methods which are available in your applications. What are the get methods, post methods are available.
Right.
And they are input-output structures.
Right. All that we can see. Yes, right.
You can see. And have you have you generated the Swagger components? Like, have you generated the auto-generated components using YAML file and auto-generated Swagger files? Have you done that?
No, I haven't done that actually. We have used Swagger, default Swagger implementations.
Only default Swaggers. Okay,
yeah.
Fine. So you are telling that you are developing the microservice applications, right?
Yes.
So Spring Boot has some implementation of microservice applications. So are you using the some Spring Boot features for enabling the microservice endpoints?
Yes. Okay. So actuators you are talking about, right?
Actuator is one thing, but there are other also. Okay. First tell me what is actuator and how you can use it.
So actuator basically we use it to check the services, if the health of the services, the status of the services, and the status of the beans deployments. So basically that's basically the main use of actuators, and we
Yes.
to enable actuators in the application, what we do is we basically add the what we say the actuator dependency in the project, and from there we just once we just add the dependency in the pom.xml file, we can
Yeah,
have
that is
the
fine. That is that enabling the actuator.
yeah.
But actuator, we can see only the health of the application. So we cannot configure much of that, right?
Yes.
So to configure the microservice endpoints, what are the other areas do you have to explore? So have you explored with Eureka server, histories kind of stuffs?
Yeah, means okay, that's your question. So yeah, Eureka server, Zool proxy servers, I have worked on. Eureka
Okay,
basically a
so
service discovery.
yes.
Yeah.
So how you enable a Eureka server and how can you access the Eureka server from another Eureka client?
Okay, so basically, Eureka server basically a different project we need to create, and to create that, what we do is we create a different project and add a Eureka server dependency in it, and to enable that, we have an annotation called @Eureka server in the main class we have.
Yes.
So
There are this.
and the default zone basically we need to define, and also in the Eureka servers properties file, we need to tell that the is not means basically Eureka register with client, we need to make it false, so that it don't register itself with the server. So that's the
Yes.
creation of Eureka server, and for the clients basically we only need to give the Eureka client URL, means the default zone basically, and the application name and all such properties.
And also, this is also a separate microservice application, and in that application, we have in the main runner class, you have to enable with Eureka, enable Eureka client, right?
Enable Eureka client, right, in the client application.
Yeah, and this is a separate microservice application, I
Yes,
can say.
yes.
Have you worked on Histrix?
Yeah, Histrix is basically what we call it as a circuit breaker. So let's say we in
Yes.
our microservice
Circuit
architecture.
breaker and fallbacks.
Yeah, so any errors or any fallbacks in the method. So fallback method is basically one method which we are calling if any function is failing or any service is failing, we need to give one fallback method, so that method gets called.
Okay. How we can provide, like how we can write the code so that it will go to the fallback method based on some errors or timeouts.
Okay, so in the code you mean. So
Yeah.
okay, so on the method, let's say we have one method, and on that method we need to enable Histrix. So what we do is basically we do @Histrix, @Histrix command, and in that @Histrix command we specify one fallback method. So let's say fallback
Yes.
method equal to the method name, and that will do our work actually. Only that thing we
Yes,
need to
yes.
do.
That is that I want to know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yes, that is fine. Like the Spring Boot is fine. I have not much time to go through all the topics. You worked on JUnit, right?
Yes.
So I believe you worked on Mockito and you have the basic idea of Mockito, right?
Yeah, I have that too.
So what is Mockito and why you use it?
So Mockito is basically we use it for integration testing part.
Integration testing.
Yeah, like what happens is, let's say we have two services, and one service is so we are unit testing one service, but that service needs some data from other service, and we are
Yes.
writing now the unit test case for one service. But in this case, we don't have data from the other service. So to mock that data or that service, we mock basically that service, and for that
Okay,
cases
fine.
we use Mockito.
And in Mockito, there are two flavors to create a mock object, like Mockito.mock and Mockito.spy. So are you aware of these things?
So Mockito.
Do you know what is the difference between those?
I'm not pretty much sure. We have used
Okay, maybe
the
you have
mock
only used the
mock, yeah, the mock class
or
name.
not, you have not used any spy objects.
No, not actually.
Yeah, okay, that is also fine, but that is not used in all the projects. So are you writing JUnits for standalone Java projects, or you are writing the Spring components also?
Spring
JUnits for
components.
Spring
Yeah, Spring components also we are
So
writing.
what are the other annotations that to use, like to run the Spring components as a standalone in JUnit?
So basically, the initialize context we need to do. So if we need to initialize the context while running our what we call the JUnit tests for a Spring Boot application or Spring Boot service, we need to enable the basically the context, the Spring context.
Like run with, you have to specify some runner, right? Spring JUnit for runner.
Yeah,
like the
Spring
stuff, right?
Runner. Yeah, Spring Runner.
Yeah, and run with some context files.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think in most of the JUnits there are some init or setup method, right?
Sorry.
So,
I didn't get.
init or setup method.
Yeah, like for setting up the data and all.
Setting up the initial data which are required.
Yes.
So like there are two annotations, @before and @before class.
At
So
the rate.
do you know the difference between them?
So @before and @before class you are saying.
Class. Yeah.
So @before is basically we use it over over a particular test case. Before all or before class? I don't.
@before and @before class.
Before class annotation. So on initialization you should run @before. I remember writing it over all the methods wherever needed, and @before class actually I don't remember. Before all annotation I remember. Before class.
Yes, you can tell me the difference between before and before all. Before class and before all. You can tell me the difference. That is also sufficient.
Basically before each we run it before all the tests.
Before each. I am going to say before each and before class. What is the difference?
So before each is basically we run it before all the tests, and before all we run it once while starting the unit test class.
Okay, that means before class will be executed only one time, and before each will be executed in number of times depending on the number
of test cases.
Test methods.
Yes, right.
Right. So, do you know what is TDD approach? Are you familiar with the term?
So test driven development basically it is.
Test driven development, yeah.
Yes.
So, what is that approach? So, basically, it is very closely related to JUnit.
Yeah. So basically, this approach tells that which for each and every methods we are writing, each and every functions we have, we should have the test cases written. So basically, when we are going into the CI/CD pipelines, those test cases gets checked.
Yes, you are partially correct. So, are you duly following this approach, or some kind of hybrid approach are you taking?
So basically, for all the methods or all the codes we do, there is a condition that it must have the corresponding unit test case, also the integration test case.
Do you have any Sonar checks in your project? So it will check some threshold of code coverage.
No, not actually. In the current project, we don't have Sonar.
But do you have the idea, right?
Yeah, Sonar,
It is
I have.
practiced in industry.
Yes.
Yeah, fine. So we are discussing most of the points. Just let me open one thing. Okay, fine. So we are done all those things.